Welcome back. You're watching News Center. The 17-day ordeal for 41 workers trapped in a tunnel in Silkyari, Uttarkashi is expected to come to an end anytime soon. The evacuation process has begun. This is the final evacuation process that we're talking about. A team of NDRF workers is inside the tunnel. The workers will be taken to a nearby hospital via a green corridor. 41 ambulances have been kept on standby. Arrangements have been made at AIIMS Rishikesh as well in case the need arises. Families of the workers who have been keeping a vigil outside the collapsed tunnel all these days while rescue efforts were on have been asked to keep clothes and bags ready. Officials say that one family member will be accompanying each worker in the ambulance while they are taken to the hospital. Let me now go across to Nigel Cameron, safety head at L&T Heavy Civil Infrastructure, who's joining us right now. Nigel Cameron was there with the L&T tunnel team over the last few days. He's joining us right now. Nigel, I'd like to understand from you, throughout the day, we've been hearing positive news, positive indicators that the trapped workers could be released anytime soon. Could you give us a sense of what's happening in this final phase of operations?
Good evening. Yes, this is the final phase, and thank goodness this has happened. So basically, in the last few days, there's been tense work in terms of trying to get the workers out. On an engineering perspective, there have been many difficulties in terms of the drilling. And what they've been doing in terms of augering out, they've been using two different size pipes. And the first one they had was a 900mm pipe, which they were trying to push through. And they're using the big machines to actually push the pipes through, as well as doing the drilling. And what happened a few days ago was that particular auger got stuck, and they had to basically remove it out. So this was actually quite a dramatic problem that actually happened at that particular moment. Immediately afterwards, once they got the auger out, they took another one, and they put a smaller one, an 800mm pipe inside it. And as you can imagine, throughout the whole ordeal, you've got 41 workers inside the tunnel. They don't really have much of an idea of what's actually going on outside and the amount of effort that's going on in terms of trying to do the rescue. So the 800mm pipe was going through, and again there was another problem, and again it got stuck as well. And one of the things you have to understand is inside the tunnel itself, there's a number of equipments and things that were actually in the tunnel that actually came down. So there was the lattice girder and lots of steel that actually came down during the actual collapse in the first place. And these obstacles, they had to get past these, and that became very challenging for them as well. So finally, the last part of the rescue, and this is the part that's been going on certainly for the last 48 hours, is where they've been doing the hand excavation. And they've had a team of experts who've been going in there and simply digging out. So if you can imagine the workers involved in this trying to work inside an 800mm pipe, using various different tools to cut and to dig to get these people out. It's been absolutely fantastic job that they've done there. And so now the tense moment is when we finally get to the last meter or so, clearing out all the debris that's there, and then getting the position ready for these people to come out. And this is going to be fantastic when we start seeing the first faces of the men when they come out of this tunnel.
Right. I'd also like to ask you, there were different methods that were tried over the last few days. There was vertical drilling, horizontal drilling. Now manual drilling was resorted to. What is the importance of manual drilling? And do you think it is the manual drilling which will finally allow these workers to be rescued?
Yeah, it was. If you looked at when we started doing the drilling with the auger at 900mm, this was stuck. There was always a chance that when they started doing the drilling with the 800mm pipe, that could also get stuck. So in the final stretches of this, it was decided to use the hand digging. Now the problem with the hand digging is obviously it's a manual operation. It's a physically demanding operation, particularly when you're working in such a confined space as this, and also that you're pushing any material back through the pipe for a distance of 40 to 50 meters as well. So again, this is a huge task. My understanding was that the military were involved in this. They were involved in supporting, and obviously the specialist hand diggers as well. And as you can imagine, these men inside there doing that work, physically demanding, a huge effort they were putting in there. And as you can imagine, the urgency for this is, I'm sure that there was a lot of motivations for them to get this through.
Right. I'd also like to ask you about any time frame that you could give us in terms of by when will the rescue teams be able to bring out these workers, take them to the hospitals? Any possible timeline that you could share or you're getting to know of from your teammates on the ground?
What I understand is that they've got ambulances on standby. The ambulances are there waiting to take them away. In addition to that, there are, I think the Air Force have also got Chinook helicopters also on standby. So the transportation is there. I understand that the police have also blocked the roads so that any traffic that needs to go through from the tunnel is also free to move along there as well.
Right. Also to understand what would be some of the key takeaways or some of the issues that you came across with the manner in which this collapse happened, learnings for the future on how to prevent this and how to make sure that rescue operations can take place faster. No two situations are always alike, but if there were certain learnings from this exercise, what would those be according to you?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very good question. And that's one of the main reasons why I was particularly keen to go down to the tunnel to take a look at this. In particular is the avoidance of such an accident. You know, when we do tunneling work, we have emergency plans, of course, but to make sure that the work is being done systematically to prevent an accident. When you look at the emergency plans themselves, and you look at the difficulties that they've had during the emergency. So, for example, there was a requirement to push a 6-inch pipe all the way through so that the men could be fed and they could have communications. This is a very serious problem. Now, I was in one of our tunnels a few days ago, taking a look at our own tunnels to see what actions we're taking. And the business of actually putting pipes inside before there's any sort of collapse is a sensible precaution so that you don't have to dig through also. So first of all, as I say, the prevention of any collapse is most important. In this particular part of the world, you've got the geology, which is problematic in terms of earthquakes that happen in this particular area. When we construct these tunnels, we have to consider the geology in terms of making sure that it's designed in such a way that we can manage that. In addition to that, if you look at the way that the construction work is done, it has to be done in a very systematic way so that every precaution is taken during every single phase of the operation. And then finally, if you look at the emergency, managing this situation, having trained staff, having trained people who are able to support any emergency is key to this. And what I can see from this particular accident is that the emergency services came very, very quickly. Everything was being done by various different agencies, and the rescue operation has been coordinated in a very, very systematic way. So that is very, very good when you look at that. But as I say, the prevention of any collapse, prevention of any accident is the key to this.
And what could you tell us about the well-being of the workers inside? To what extent have you been able to keep in touch with them to know about their well-being and health?
Yes, I mean, one of the first things that we managed to do after, in fact, it took us a little while to get it done, but we managed to install an endoscopic camera inside the tunnel, and that was in addition to that was the 6-inch pipe that went in as well. So for the workers to receive food and also to have communication, that was a really big thing. If you go to this location in Uttarakhand at this time of the year, what you will see is that the temperatures, particularly during the night time, is extremely cold. So those workers who are inside the tunnel themselves did not have facilities to sleep on. They didn't have warm clothes or any other resources. So my guess at the moment is that when they come out of that tunnel, they'll be extremely relieved that they're free finally. And I would imagine that there'll be a certain amount of post-traumatic stress as a result of this. I believe that they would probably require quite a little bit of counselling as they come out of this tunnel. My guess is that they are a team. They are construction workers. They'll be tough guys to start with, but actually they'll need some help.
Right. Of course, they would need some post-traumatic stress counselling, and they will be in trauma and shock. Of course, apart from any other health ailments that they may have had over the last 70 days. Nigel Cameron, thank you very much for joining us. We're praying for their swift rescue over the next few hours. Let's see what happens. Thanks once again for being with us and explaining us the situation on the ground.